Come on, skinny love, just last the year. Poor little soul, we were never here. My, 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 my. Staring at the sink of blood and crushed veneer.
Welcome to A Girl in a Garden on dfcradio.com. This is your host, Emily. And last week was a live show out of the Long Beach studio. And you can view in the archives if you want to listen. My friend John was in and we were talking seed starting with some excellent information. And today we're going to talk about farm to table, growing your own microgreens, and how to do dried rosemary. So all kinds of good information coming up. We're going to go right into the first video about farm to table.
One of the places I worked, I would just go out and in the fall of the season with a mixing bowl, a little bit of oil, a little bit of vinegar, season it already, and then just go out and start cutting chard, kale, pick tomatoes with a paring knife and just make myself a salad and sit out there in my break time and eat a salad.
You can't get fresher than that.
Yeah.
Welcome to A Girl in a Garden. I'm your host, Emily, and today I am at John Ash & Company in Santa Rosa, California, and I'm sitting with Executive Chef Tom Schmidt. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So this is a farm-to-table restaurant. It's a very well-known restaurant in Santa Rosa, but for everyone, all of my listeners and people that are watching out there that are not in Santa Rosa, what can you tell us about this restaurant?
First off, John Ash is a well-known cook from Santa Rosa. He was here for a long time. He opened John Ash Restaurant about probably 30 years ago in a different part of the town. They moved here 20 odd years ago to this location, which is at the moment 100 acres of property, 90 acres of vineyards, 10 acres with a hotel, restaurant, event center, and our own gardens, which is great. He was a pioneer for Sonoma County, Santa Rosa, for using local farm ingredients. So really the first farm-to-table restaurant in the area.
So this being the first farm-to-table restaurant, and I have to say we are very spoiled for living in Santa Rosa or just in Sonoma County because we have a huge resources of fresh fruits and vegetables. So you guys grow some of it on site, is that correct?
Yeah, we have a couple acres, maybe two, where we grow a lot of stuff. Some of it all year long, like kales and chards. They're pretty much always going around. Herbs, thyme, rosemary. The hardy ones are all year long. In summertime, we've got basil. A couple of years ago, we did like 1,600 basil plants,
Wow.
27 varieties. We've got 80 fig trees. We have apple trees, pear trees, a lot of berries, strawberries, boysenberries, raspberries. And then I have a culinary gardener who plants our needs, but it would never be enough to sustain us, but is a good plus for our specials, for daily specials.
Now, since you guys are so large, and this is a very beautiful, large restaurant, and you cannot grow to sustain everything, where do you get some of your other fruits and vegetables?
We get mostly from gardens in the area. There's a lot of organic small gardeners. There's a new company, relatively new, called Feed Sonoma, who has about 40 or 50 gardeners or small farms under his belt, and he gets twice a week, really local, only Sonoma County delivered to us. He also delivers down to the Bay Area, so it's a great local source of a lot of different farms. We've got the Schoen Farms from the college, from the junior college. They have a couple hundred acres up the street. Kendall Jackson has their own culinary gardens, where it's very large. We get from them. Tierra Farms, just a mile up the road. A lot of small people, Sayre Farms. The gardeners, they come in to, hey, do you want to buy from us? And then we say, what do you have? And then they come out and deliver us, as often as we want, pretty much, which is great.
So, I mean, besides being so lucky with all this locally sourced from the land for the property we're sitting at right here talking, and just local from Sonoma County. So this is a farm-to-table restaurant, and as you were saying, this is the first one for Sonoma County, kind of paving the way. You guys are also part of, is it the Farm to Trails?
Farm Trails.
Farm Trails.
Yeah. which is also just because we have our own gardens that we grow, and there's a lot of small little farms around the area that grow stuff in Sonoma County. It's we're not 100% organic. We try to be, but it's really hard to get all the paperwork done. But we're organic and sustainable. We do as much as we can here on the property.
And that is a very typical trend, especially with the farm to table or garden to table restaurants, is they will grow or using organic growing practices, but with the certifications being as expensive and time consuming as they are, they just don't have them. And that's typical and very normal, and we have to love our regulations.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So,
Now you have been with John Ash and Company for about 5 years.
a little over 5 years
Now,
now.
what do you bring to the table with experience?
I grew up in California, in the Bay Area. I went to culinary school back when it wasn't as popular as it is nowadays. Then I worked in the Bay Area for a while, in the South Bay and in the East Bay. And in '87, I went to Europe, thinking I'd stay for a year or so, and I ended up staying for 20 years in Germany, having my own restaurant, catering business. And I loved it there, but then I kind of got homesick for the California sun and the coast and the family, that I moved back almost 6 years ago, and then I found a job up here, which is where I wanted to be, in Sonoma County. I loved the area as a child.
And this is a great area if you're a foodie too.
Oh, totally. And I was in Germany, but I was in France a lot, so I did a lot of the regular French basic techniques to German techniques in cooking, and really all of it Italian stuff. Europe's so great because it's so small. You get a good feeling for all the different aspects of cooking, just being in the close proximity of them.
Yes, and so I've seen some of the plates and some of the meals that you've put together, and they look amazing, and I will get to try some, and we'll see some photos of some of the things that you are making at this John Ash and Company. One of the reasons we're here today is because you guys are actually growing something new on site.
Yeah, it was great. With the help of the Garden Spout here in Santa Rosa, we've been growing our own microgreens. In the past, we purchased a good amount of microgreens from farmers markets, from the different farms around the area that, it's getting very trendy, or was trendy, a couple of years ago. Now it's just like a mainstay in your kitchen to have different types of microgreens. But we always bought ones that were, of course, grown ahead and cut and delivered. Now we're growing them ourselves, so we can decide what we want, when we want it. It doesn't take that much time. And through the help of Garden Spout, we've got it all set up. And we've got, daikon and mustards and arugulas and basil types and beets and everything. It's great.
Now, besides different fruits and vegetables that we're doing for farm to table, do you bring in locally sourced meats?
For sure. We've got a lot of smaller farms that like Devil's Gulch down by Petaluma, where we get rabbits. We get from them lamb sometimes and pork sometimes. We've got other small farms around here that'll order a pig or order a whole lamb. We make our own sausages. We make our own salumi, so we make some prosciuttos, like lamb prosciutto. We make sometimes salami. We'll make duck prosciutto from Liberty Ducks, or from out on the bodega from Salmon Creek Ducks. So we're always getting pretty much whole animals. But the smaller ones, the bigger ones, not as often, because we're such a big restaurant. It's hard when we need 20 fillets from a lamb and only have 2, so it's a little hard. But we do that often, that we get whole animal. We use everything. I mean, we make the sausages, we make soups, we make our own stocks and sauces. So we've always got things going on.
So you also have to plan it out in advance when you're purchasing this whole animal, to say this is what I'm going to be making from this part to this piece to this
Exactly,
piece.
you have to plan it out to make sure you're going to use it all, because it's a lot of different smaller cuts that you've got. And sometimes I get like a quarter side of beef maybe from the local grass fed, and then we'll make our own smoked briskets for our breakfast kitchen for a corned beef hash. So we'll smoke them though, instead of just regular cured. We'll cure them and smoke them, and then we have the other meat for our burgers, which we grind daily, a couple times fresh for our burgers in the bar area here. Or
now, John Ash & Co. is also open for more than just dinner as well. So this is...
We're pretty much open for dinner only, but we do lunch now and in holiday times, and we have an event center where we do a lot of banquets. So there we use a lot of larger cuts too. If we have parties coming up for charcuterie, that we'll make our own, and for little meatballs, so of course.
And this is, as restaurants, and this is something I have never worked in a restaurant, but besides getting a whole animal and having to piece that one out and having to plan out what you're going to be using, is you also have your customers and your regular restaurant stuff. So there's a lot of organizing and planning to be done in the back, into the kitchen area, that we don't always see as a diner, as we come in and we see these beautiful plates of food.
Exactly.
and I have no idea what's going on back there, but you guys work extremely hard.
It's a
for
lot
what
of
you do.
hours, a lot of hours, a lot of hard work, but it's once you're in it, you just can't get out. And I've been in it for 30 years, and I just love cooking.
So one of the reasons I'm visiting today is you guys are growing something different in your on site here, and what is that?
Now we just started growing our own microgreens with the help of the Garden Spout here in Santa Rosa. So we have a little lab set up, a little grow lab, which is very North Coast, growing our own microgreens. So what we used to purchase at farmers markets are from different vendors locally, little small little guys that'll grow just microgreens or grow maybe a couple plants and have microgreens also. Now we're growing our own.
Now, typically, if you grow microgreens, or I've posted quite a few things online as well, is you can purchase it for a home use at Whole Foods and different grocery stores. It's about $1.99 an ounce. And when you're purchasing for larger amounts, obviously you get better prices. You purchase more amounts, but it's not quite as fresh. So one of the things is you guys are growing it on site and harvesting right before you put
We
it on.
harvest them right before, pretty much right before we use them, which is great. In the past, it was always pre-cut, packaged, maybe a 4 ounce or a 2 ounce container. We get delivered, and it was good, but not as good as now.
And it's kind of like if you can buy the organic tomatoes at the farmer's market and they taste good, but then you grow one at your house and it just tastes so much better.
Exactly.
So that's how these microgreens are when you are harvesting right from the back room.
Yeah.
So we'll show some videos. It's right in their break room, and we are using a Grow Lab Horticultural Clone Lab Tall. We've added a few extra shelves into it, and I believe we get about 20 flats of microgreens growing at a time.
Yeah.
So a large selection, you guys can switch it out. You also have different plates that you're serving, what's in season, and you can swap out the microgreens that go onto it.
Whatever works with the plate, that we have these different vegetables, microgreens to add as a garnish, which is great and a great flavor. A lot of them have a lot of heat to them, so it's nice to add that at the end to have these nice fresh greens that have a little bit of horseradish type of a heat or a mustard heat, which is great.
And I have to say those mustard greens and the radish greens are delicious, but they pack some punch into it.
Yeah, you don't expect it, but that's what's nice about it.
Just a little tiny bit.
Just a few of them on top just to bring out the flavor of things, and it's really fun.
So this is one of the first restaurants I've been able to visit, and with the help of the Garden Spout being able to grow on site. The microgreens has a very small footprint. It's a 2x4 area, 20 different flats at a time, and you can always cycle it in and add it right fresh onto
That's good.
the
Gavin
table.
came out and said, "Oh, we could just find a place to put it up," and we set it up, and it's like, wow, that fits in there perfectly. I had an outlet put in the wall from our maintenance man, and it's just like 5 days later, everything it came to work, and it was all set up, ready to go.
Now, as being a girl in a garden, and for what I want is for people to grow their own food, and the garden to table movement of this is fresh food and it comes from right here. There's no footprint. It's not traveling from anywhere. Yeah. This is the trend that I definitely want to see more and more often.
I think you will too, because it's just once you get into it, it's not that hard and it's not that time consuming, and to help the people that in the know, it's great.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, and we're going to check out some of the different dishes. I think we're having dinner here tonight. We're going to see some of the beautiful things that they played up with the microgreens and some of the dishes that you have helped put together at John Ash & Company.
Great.
So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Right now I am talking with Devin, the sous chef at John Ash & Company. How are you doing today?
Very good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, you have been here for about 2 years. What is your role at the company?
I'm the sous chef of the restaurant, and that primarily means that I take means the second chef in a restaurant, and I take care of the line, most of the food and other concepts and things like that. Tom and I work out the menus, and then it's mainly my responsibility to be in the kitchen, making sure that the daily activities are taken care of, and the food is looking good and everything's rolling along.
So the sous chef does quite a bit in the back end of the kitchen,
Yeah.
day to day.
Purchasing, receiving products, everything.
So while you do some of the purchasing, we are here today to talk about the different microgreens, and you guys are growing some of the different microgreens on site.
Yeah.
And before, we were talking with Tom, and he was saying how you were purchasing them and then using them on the plates. Now you guys are actually harvesting them.
Yeah.
Now, how do you come to the conclusion of what microgreen pairs with which plates?
Well, there's such a myriad of microgreens to begin with that we grow so many different types. The daikon, which is a much larger, kind of a spicy radish, pairs really well with our calamari, which is kind of an Asian influenced dish with a Thai basil dipping sauce and nice crispy fried. And then arugula and other things which I really enjoy. I pair really well with salmon and other fishes. So those are often just placed on top of a dish for a garnish or something else. And so that while you're consuming it, you get a nice little spread of this which my favorite is the arugula with that real nice bite and spice. And then we grow other ones that are kind of more a mix and a medley that with beautiful colors and other things like that, that not only do they enhance the flavor of the dish, but they also really enhance the visual appeal of the dish.
So with microgreens, this is something I use a lot at my house, and I stage a lot of photos for my blog and tell people the recipes, but a lot of it is based and inspired off of going to these farm-to-table restaurants and these beautiful places, and it's the appearance and how it looks on the plate.
Yeah.
So you're placing it and you have these beautiful plates of food, but then it also packs that punch into it as well.
Yeah, well, we've gone with sometimes milder varieties and things like that so that they can pair well with everything. But I really like trying to find something with a unique flavor, the mustards, other things that not only are visually appealing, but also very appealing on the plate for the dish itself. And you really cannot beat the nutritional value of cutting it fresh and putting it right on the plate. So when we were purchasing the microgreens, we could only purchase them certain days a week. We'd purchase them and have them 3 or 4 days in our kitchen before they get completely utilized. They also have a very short shelf life, so if we don't use them within those 3 or 4 days, they're dead. Here we don't have that issue at all, so it's wonderful.
So you guys have about 20 flats of different microgreens growing. There's many different flavors out there. How often are you finding you use them more often or harvesting more often onto more dishes?
Yeah, plus, restaurants have varied business. One night we're really busy, the next night we're not, and so we have the ability to cut the appropriate amount for what we need. During service and things like that, we can go right back and pick a little bit more of what we need to keep going, and that just increases it, makes it that much fresher and that much better. So.
I think now that we've been talking about these microgreens, I think we need to see some of these microgreens. Can you show us the garden?
I would love to.
All right, let's go check that out. Okay, so here we have, this is our farm to table taken to micro level with our microgreens. We have the break room to table. So we are using this is, in essence, a 2x4 growing area with the GrowLab horticultural tent. And these are the microgreens. And you guys harvest from here. Is this...
Yeah. Yeah, we before service we'll come out and depending on the dishes and our daily specials and other things, we'll come out here and pick types of microgreens that would best accompaniment with the dishes. And we do, come through before service, cut kind of what we need, so it's very fresh, and then we try not to cut too much, so that if we do need a little bit more, we can come out here and cut and trim or pluck a little bit more.
And part of the reason of having this on site is you can just walk to the back and say, I need a few more of these.
Yeah, and there's no waste or usage, like I was saying before, when we were purchasing microgreens, they have a very short shelf life, and so, they die very quickly, they're not attractive, and they lose their flavor very, very quickly if you don't use them. But this, not only the vibrance of flavor and color and the life, but also the nutritional value is unbeatable at this state. So we take it, fresh from here, and it goes on a plate, and you really can't get much better than still alive on the plate.
So some of this we can actually pull directly out of this, and it's grown in this paper towel method.
Yeah.
So you can do root all the way root to the table. Other ones we actually have some scissors down here, and they're actually cutting and harvesting those ones.
Yeah, some of them do better in
directly.
soil, and so that's those ones we'll cut to try to keep nice and clean, and then these ones with the paper towel they come up real easy. So, and some of them we trim off a little bit taller so that we just have the greens themselves, but for the most part we try to keep the root and everything intact as well. I think that's one of the benefits of it.
And besides that, nutritional value is you don't have to eat very much. It packs some punch to it. You can have just a little bit of your broccoli greens
Oh, yeah, a small amount, like an ounce or two of broccoli greens, garnish on the dish, or in a salad or something like that. You'd have to eat pounds of vegetables to get the nutritional value, especially coming from such a live state like this.
So you have your nutritional value, and for me, who likes to see the beauty and for you guys, for these restaurants and having these beautiful plates, it's also the aesthetics of it too.
Yeah, and being farm to table and being more involved with what's going on as far as growing our own goods, it's something that not only John Ash but this area has really been supportive of. And so when we speak of the fact that we have a culinary gardener on site working for the seasons to make sure that we have appropriate vegetables and things like that we can use, it's just wonderful. You can't really beat it. It's not only is it unique and fun, being a cook, that's one of your biggest things. I mean, what do you work with? You work with food, so to be able to see where it comes from and be able to see it at all stages and knowing the quality of it as it goes to the plate. I think a lot of times it's hard to find great vendors and people that you can guarantee the quality of, and nothing better than doing it yourself. So.
And part of food, cooking, eating out is the ingredients. The ingredients is the most important thing.
Yes, definitely.
You have the atmosphere, you have the company, you can have fun, but it's all based on the ingredients.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge part of our job is sourcing and finding quality ingredients. Dry goods to fresh produce and other things. One of the benefits that I enjoy from working at John Ash is the fact that we probably purchase from the widest variety of vendors in the county, and we get such a opportunity to work with so many great farms, so many great different vendors, specialty vendors. We use such a wide variety of product that when any of our vendors get something new, they come to us knowing that we're willing to experiment, try new things, and utilize local fresh ingredients.
And part of the nice thing about John Ash Company is you guys have different daily specials, and your menu switches as the different seasons and what is in season.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of having the culinary gardener and other things. You're kind of almost in a wonderful area like Sonoma County. You're almost kind of forced to be with the seasons because we run out of tomatoes. Tomato season's over, so we just don't buy in older or hothouse tomatoes and that type of thing. We try to stay with as fresh, as great a product as possible. So.
And part of this also, as I was saying earlier when I was talking with Tom, is you can buy a tomato, well, even buy one from the farmer's market. You can buy a tomato from the grocery store, or you can grow one yourself and taste the difference.
Yes.
And it is about those ingredients, so what you're using to grow them.
Yeah.
And these ones, you can say you have organic microgreens that you're growing, and feel good about that. And they only take 5 to 14 days to grow. So it's a fast crop. You guys incorporate it with all your different dishes. You can add in all your farm to table, the fresh produce that you also order. So very, very cool. We have to say this is exciting. This is what we want to see. This is garden to table, farm to table, garden to mouth. So I have to say this is a big thank you to John Ash and Company for letting a girl in a garden come and film today, and for the Garden Spout for spearheading this idea, and now we see a garden in a break room.
Yeah, wonderful.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You are listening to the beautiful Emily Walter on DFCRadio.com.
DFCRadio.com.
A girl in a garden quick tip. Have weeds in your yard? Vinegar is a great alternative to chemical sprays. It's a great burn down herbicide. Use carefully since it can kill any plant that it touches. For more information and tips, tune in Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on dfcradio.com.
Here at Green Grow, we take organic gardening seriously. With our mycorrhizae products, you'll increase growth and help reduce the need to replace old, worn-out soil. We help provide electrolytes and maximize nutrient intake to make your indoor garden lush and green. So give your plants the strength that they need and breathe life into your soil with Green Grow. Find us at your local nursery or visit us at thegreengrow.com. That's the green, GRO.com.
DFCRadio.com.
You're listening to A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com.
Strength in our numbers and your breath sound gross, but I kiss you like a lover. Like stick to the seats of the car.
Do a little wonton crisp. I'm gonna put a little avocado tartare on top, a little avocado red onion, and then garnish with a little bit of cilantro.
Wow, that's so pretty. Little salt makes everything better.
Yeah. Especially on proteins. You gotta salt straight on our protein a lot of times.
You know, when you watch the shows on TV, it's not the same.
Yeah.
My video, I'm sure, isn't doing it justice right now with what's going on here, but
Daikon on top.
I think the way you would describe the kitchen is organized chaos.
Yeah. You know, you can do as much as you can to get ready for a night like tonight, but it's still gonna be crazy.
So we're having a party here tonight. How many people?
This one is for 18. I have another one for 15. They're pretty small, but sometimes they're upwards of 40 to 50. So.
And what's the maximum capacity here at John Ash & Co?
Oh, I think we have 80 plus in the main dining room, and so we have to do several turns. Like nights we do several hundred. We have to do at least 2 to 3 turns per table, and then that's not including the availability in the bar.
this a salmon?
Yep.
Sous Chef Devin Kellogg's gonna take apart the salmon. Get every little last bit of meat out of there.
Oh yeah. Make a mousse or other things with the extra scrap.
And are there no more bones in the main pieces that you already cut out?
There is. I'll have to go back through right in the top here. There's little pin bones that run right along here.
Oh yeah, you can
And
see
so you
them
got to go back with tweezers and pull those
one by
out.
one.
So.
But at John Ash, we don't waste the salmon. We use all of it. And how many people does this fish feed?
I will get, it's about a medium size, I'll probably get about 10 plus per side, so about anywhere from 15 to 20 per salmon of about 5 portions.
And what's the dish that you make with this?
This is the special tonight, which is canned seared salmon, forbidden black rice, baby carrots, and a Meyer lemon beurre blanc. Yeah, boil them in there. Boil them, yeah, because it's just the skin. What that baking soda? No. Oh yeah, boil them with the baking soda. So there's like
Now for the tweezers. Oh yeah, that would get you pretty good.
yeah,
It's hidden in there.
yeah. You gotta be careful, otherwise you'll tear the meat up trying to get it out.
But you feel for them first with your hand.
Yeah, and you kind of bring them up too, so you can grab them.
Kind of like a splinter.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. So they don't all have to be the same shape because of the way the fish is. You're just trying to get the proper weight.
Just get the proper weight. When we go for like if you have several on one table, you know, they all look the same, you know. But if there's one salmon and one scallop,
then it doesn't matter so much.
Okay. Yeah. Still working at Single Out Burger. Picking up 2 sea bass, 3 mushrooms, 1 scallop, 1 cod, 1 half pasta.
What are these? Bacon wrapped dates. Wow. How do you keep so thin, Devin?
I don't eat any of this.
No? Oh my god, it smells so good.
I know, it's a weird phenomenon. You feel like you fill up on smell,
On smell?
and then by the time you're just inundated with so much food around you, you don't really think about eating it, and then you get home and you're starving. But
You know, you might have just thought of the newest diet plan. You know, we just some aromatherapy.
Yeah.
You know, if that works, that would be great. If you do that, I want to partner up with you, partner. Nobody else has done it, at least.
When I was in culinary school, I remember reading about triglycerides. And I was like, that's fantastic, a nice triglyceride diet, you know, like with a full of cheesecake and stuff like that. You're like, oh, but it's also the fattiest, then yeah, that's not a good idea.
Sounded good for a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
But the smell diet, you
Yeah,
know,
that-
I mean,
yeah.
it works for you. I don't know. For me, I have the opposite reaction
Yeah.
when I smell this type of stuff. I'm like, I could eat a little more. I got a little room.
Like the back of my hand, I felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete.
You are listening to the beautiful Emily Walter on DFCRadio.com.
DFCRadio.com.
A girl in a garden quick tip. Have weeds in your yard? Vinegar is a great alternative to chemical sprays. It's a great burn down herbicide. Use carefully since it can kill any plant that it touches. For more information and tips, tune in Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on DFCRadio.com.
Here at Green Grow, we take organic gardening seriously. With our mycorrhizae products, you'll increase growth and help reduce the need to replace old, worn-out soil. We help provide electrolytes and maximize nutrient intake to make your indoor garden lush and green. So give your plants the strength that they need and breathe life into your soil with Green Grow. Find us at your local nursery or visit us at thegreengrow.com. That's the green, GRO.com.
You're listening to A Girl in the Garden on DFCRadio.com.
DFCRadio.com.
Say what you say, I just sail away. She can't stand me, but I miss her face. I feel like drowning, but the tide's too low. And now I'm waiting for the other.
Welcome back to A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com. This is your host, Emily. And today, what I am doing is actually making Christmas presents what I have under this towel is actually rosemary from the garden. So this was washed rosemary and then it was patted dry, so it's perfect now. It's ready to go in the dehydrator. So I am putting rosemary in the food dehydrator. It takes about 20 to 24 hours in the dehydrator. So what I will be doing is laying it on the different shelves. And sometimes this can be a little loud, so if it's too loud, you could always put it in the laundry room or a porch or something like that, and it works just fine as well. So I don't cut the rosemary off the actual branches. I will typically leave them all together to put in the food dehydrator, and then I can sometimes separate it afterwards if I want to. So once these are all dried, they will be going into little mason jars. And this is probably one of the most inexpensive Christmas presents I can get or make, and probably one of the nicer ones to get if you are a cook. So I'll actually fill this up a little bit more if I can, but then I will put the lid on. And then I will drop the actual dehydrator part into this and plug it in. And I will check back we will check back in 24 hours to take the rosemary out and put them into the jars and make little Christmas presents with these. So here we are 24 hours later, and I've unplugged the food dehydrator. This, you just stick it in there for 20 to 24 hours. I did it for 24 hours with the rosemary. I typically will pull the trays off, so you have your dried rosemary. The easiest thing is I have little jars. These are ball jars that I got. I will typically put them in a box after I've cleaned them, of course, and I will just take the rosemary, if I can get an easy piece, and just break it off into the jar, and then if there's any mess, it will just end up in the little box. So most herbs that you're going to be drying usually take about 24 hours, just depending on what kind of food dehydrator you have. This one is a Nesco one. Another one I've used as well is an Excalibur, which is a pretty expensive one, but worth every single penny if you use it that often. So this one was pretty inexpensive. Actually, a friend gave this to me because they had never used it, and it's been in the cupboard forever. So that is one of the things that can happen with a food dehydrator. So that's why I recommend to buy an inexpensive one, do that for a while, and then decide if you want to upgrade. Now, another way that you can dry your herbs and peppers, I have some peppers here. These are all the stuff from my garden, and I'm going to use them as Christmas gifts. These ones are the candlelight peppers. You can see them right there. Those are the ones that I have in my water farm that I'm growing right now. And I grew some earlier this year. So most of these ones, I did not have a food dehydrator, but what I used was a drying rack, a mesh rack that I find at a hydroponics shop. And I air dry my herbs in there. Super easy. It's in my kitchen. Sometimes a dry, dark, cool cupboard helps really good too. And that's one way. Or you can stick them in the oven and dry your herbs and peppers that way. And it's a lot faster if you do it in the oven. Again, you will have to double check some of the different sites out there to recommend the directions for it. I'm not as familiar with the oven ones since I don't use it as much. And the air drying is obviously the easiest. These are, let's see, I have some bay laurel leaves right here. So these ones, once I picked the bay laurel leaves, I laid these out on a piece of newspaper and dried them and then flipped them a few times. They weren't out that long. They're dry. Now they're in the jar. For cooling, they go in a dark, cool place away from the sunlight. But for today's purposes, I will be packaging them up, putting little labels, the years on it, and giving them away as Christmas gifts. And this is a really inexpensive thing to make for Christmas. I am at the point where I don't want more stuff or crap or just things ending up in my house. But I would rather give something or get something that I'm going to use, like herbs for the kitchen. Garden stuff is always good present. Seeds for a gardener is always an excellent present. And if you've grown herbs before, you know rosemary and basil and a lot of these different plants out there can be grown in containers. They can be grown indoors. They can be grown on the counter. And they like to grow like weeds. So you can ignore and abuse quite a few. Well, I ignore and abuse my rosemary plant, and I have so much of it. So very tolerant plants. If you're starting to garden and you want to get something that you can start preserving, herbs is a good one to start with. So that's how easy it is to dry herbs, and I just have to clean off a few more shelves, fill up a few more little mason jars, and there is Christmas presents. And that is how easy it is to dry herbs. So from my garden to your table. So this is Emily with The Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com. Welcome back.
Well, this is how it starts. Two lovers in the dark on the run from the one that they call Chef Spark. 6 guns by the side and bullets round their waist. 2 shots to the sky, signal sign for the chase. The safe was nearly empty and they were nearly free, but was seen by the good eye of the mean Billy Green. And he screamed at the top of his lungs, they're on the run. It's the 2 outsiders, grab your horses and your guns.
I said I wish that we could stay here, but I fear our time has come. We can ride out in the darkness, chasing the rising sun. We gotta pack our bags this instant. We're heading southbound to the next town. And if we arrive there so safely, baby, you can lay me down. Lay me down. Lay me down. Lay me down.
Well, it's the story of the 2, always on the move. They got nothing left to lose except their guns and their wounds. Now they're crossing border, sheriff's posse on their tail. They'd rather die together than be stuck up in a cell. They drank up all the whiskey and they partied every night, like it could be the last. The bounty said to shoot on sight. So they chased the endless summer, knew it came with the bride. They wouldn't stop running till they found.
Welcome back to A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com. This is your host, Emily. So today we talked about farm to table. We talked about trying rosemary, and then next week I'm actually going to be gone. I will be in Hong Kong. So next week I have videos with Forever Flowering Greenhouses and with Sam over at Cabinet Grow. So we're going to talk all about indoor gardening. So until next week, this is Emily on A Girl in a Garden on DFCRadio.com.